Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Tirzah.
Welcome to our podcast on remote relationships.
We are currently in a long-distance relationship, and we're
Going the distance. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going the Distance. We are very happy today that we finally got our second couple of guests on, but the first that neither of us knows.
Yeah, I do not know them.
But we know them a little bit because we.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like I've known them forever.
You're about to.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Tell us all your nitty-gritty details.
We would like to introduce all of you, our beautiful listeners, to Abby and Trevor. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Doing good. So, real quick, where are you guys? Because I think this is a special moment for all of us long-distance people. You guys are together.
Correct.
And Alex and I are together this weekend in Fort Worth, Texas.
Yes.
Woohoo!
That's very exciting.
So, where are you guys?
Yeah, we're right outside Philadelphia.
That's so cool.
Nice. I bet your weather's a whole lot better than ours right now.
Oh.
It's bloody
It's
hot.
actually really nice today. It's been super humid and it's not today. But typically I'm in Pennsylvania and he's in Colorado, in Denver.
Oh, wow. Both of those are nice. Yeah, it's about 110 degrees here. I told Alex after this we're going swimming in my pool.
Yes.
Yeah, no, 110 is no fun.
No.
It is no fun.
Trevor was in Palm Springs earlier
5
this
days
week.
ago,
Yeah, I don't even know at this point.
Not
And
the same weather, 110.
Yeah.
Out
Yep.
the desert roasting.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Jeez. Well, we would like to invite you guys to just give us about a 5-minute spiel, like give or take, but just give us a summary of y'all's story to share with everyone else, because y'all sent it to us, but now share it with the rest of the world.
Cool. All right. So Trevor and I actually dated in college. We were long distance then too.
Yeah.
So we
Really?
A long distance, pretty
yeah.
much.
So that was in 2008, and we noticed each other like 2 weeks.
Oh.
2 weeks before. Well, I noticed him 2 weeks before freshman year ended.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up spending a super awesome 2 weeks together. And then his mom was living in California at the time.
Yeah, I was living in California at that point in time.
So over the summer he went out and hung out with his mom, and I was in Pennsylvania back home with my family. So we did the long distance thing, and my mom. So we texted a lot right when school ended, and at that point there wasn't unlimited plans, or they were less.
Ooh, back in the day.
So my mom lost her mind and took my cell phone, and I had a landline for the summer. And actually Trevor told me he loved me for the first time by leaving me a voicemail on my landline.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's super cute. So that was 2008, and then we both lived in the same building the next year. When we came back to school. So then we got together and dated for a little less than a year. And then we broke up, and then we just kind of kept finding each other over and over
Always
again.
Gravitated around each other.
And then it got to the point where after when he graduated, he was going somewhere. He's always going somewhere. And he planned this road trip, and at that point we weren't boyfriend girlfriend. We were being very we're just hanging out, whatever. So he left on a road trip, and then that was the end of it. The last time I saw him was the day of his graduation, and literally last time I saw him was in his cap and gown. And then we were not really texting and not really talking. We kind of knew that when he left after graduation, that was the end of us. And then he ended up having a car malfunction.
Yeah, my buddy's car who was gonna do the length of the road trip with me to hit a bunch of national parks on the way out to moving to California. just had his car fail, and he ended up falling in love with a girl. Happy to still say they're together to this day, but he was just like, hey, man, like, I'm putting everything on you. And so I basically was just like, cool, I'm just going to buy a one-way plane ticket and move to Colorado.
Wait, no, but before that, he came back to where I was and wanted to hang out. And I was like, oh, I met someone. So.
Plot twist.
Right?
Yeah, plot twist. So there's more of a plot twist, which is that 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. And ended up having my daughter Lucy, and who's standing behind me and like desperately wants to say hello.
That was the cutest little hi.
Hi.
Hi, Lucy.
So that was like a thing, and like then Trevor ended up back on the East Coast and texted me and was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "LOL, I'm pregnant." So like I guess this is over. So then 7 years went by, and like I like the running joke is that I wished him a happy birthday every birthday. I never missed one.
She really didn't.
And sometimes he didn't respond, but like whatever. Because like we both had like relationships over that time. Like things with Lucy's dad didn't, we ended up not together. And then I had like one more like kind of like long-term relationship in that time. And Trevor had 2 long-term relationships in that time. And then we both ended up like single at the same time at his birthday this year. And I wished him a happy birthday in February of 2018. And he like responded and was like, "Hey, how have you been?" And I was like, "Why are you talking to me? You never talk to me." And we just kind of like started talking, and it kind of like
kept evolving and just
it turned into something really special. And I just like planned a girls trip to Colorado, which quickly became a Trevor trip to Colorado. After I had like a life change and decided that I wanted to kind of do something special for myself. And one of my girlfriends lived in Colorado. So we planned a girls trip, which just got totally overtaken by Trevor. And we had a couple months of like primarily texting.
Yeah.
We FaceTimed like a couple times, like right before we saw each other. And then I went out to Colorado, and we had probably what I would call like the best weekend of my life. And like everything in person was just as amazing as it was remotely. And then we decided we were going to like do this thing, and, figured out a bunch of travel. And then in July, July 20th, we ended up getting engaged. And
yay, congratulations.
And now the plan is that Lucy, my daughter, and I are going to move to Colorado in June of next year. So we have like a little bit of an expiration date on the whole long distance thing, which is nice, but we're in it right now.
Yeah, definitely in the thick of it.
And that's the story.
Yeah.
Fantastic story.
Isn't it a good one?
It really is.
My favorite story is the part where I'm in it.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I love that.
I bet it. So I wanted at one point to interject when you said y'all started talking.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, that's okay. When y'all started talking again, and you were saying the texts were flying back and forth, because now I take it you didn't have to worry about those like 10 cent per texting no more. 2018, you got unlimited texting.
Do you guys have unlimited data right
yes,
now?
we are good to go.
Yeah.
Okay,
we were on
good.
everything, or text messages.
Yeah,
Facebook.
at one point we like actually sat down and made a list of like all the different forms of communication that we use, like Facebook messaging, text messaging, instant message, like Instagram DMs.
How many are you on total?
That's a really good question. So we have a really healthy Google Doc that we share.
We definitely do a shared Google Drive folder that covers a lot of bases.
Yeah, especially now that we're wedding planning too. We're like all about the Google Docs.
I think it just started originally. We do a lot of Polaroids together and like film photography. So it just started with like sharing our photos that we scanned into the computer that way. And then just kind of
That's smart
there.
Yeah. And then Instagram, obviously, we're like, a lot of times it'll like either like stupid memes or it'll be, you know, more like obviously the long distance relationship community is like pretty healthy on Instagram, and we've really fallen into that. So just like stuff we see on there, which is really awesome. Facebook messaging for like dumb posts, and we text. You know, we're pretty much like in constant communication with texting, and then we FaceTime a lot, and we call each other all the time. We're
Google
like
Hangouts while you're at work.
Yeah, Google Hangouts while I'm at work.
No.
Yeah, we're pretty much any way to talk, we're talking.
Yeah. No landlines this time though.
Right? Oh my gosh. I love the Google Drive idea because that's something we didn't think about when we did our episode on forms of communication, but you're right. I mean, it is a collaborative space.
Yeah. Unlimited like storage pretty much too.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
a ton of videos, a ton of
we use it for like a lot of like wedding planning stuff. Like we have like a budget sheet and then like all the wedding planning stuff, but then we also have like we have like other little lists that we keep. Another thing that we use is shared notes on the iPhone.
Yeah.
You can actually, if you make a note, you can share it with another person. So we have this like really cool thing we do. Well, I think it's really cool. Called morning music. So every morning, whoever wakes up first, like finds a song and sends it to the other person. And then we keep a running list of that and like who got the song and what date it was. So we have this like really great list of music that we've both sent each other over since May. Yeah.
Since we started recording
so cool.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and then we also have a travel doc in notes where we have like any upcoming flights we've booked and like flight information, and like Trevor's really good at keeping that updated because he's typically, because of Lucy, he travels a lot more than I do, so he keeps those really up to date. But it's nice because, you know, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, wait, when does he fly in that day? And I can go back and check it. Or if I want to track his flight while he's in the air, it's there.
Just a quick reference. All that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's awesome, guys. We just learned like a few new ideas. we haven't even got to questions honestly, yet, but that's like killer.
Yeah, we really feel like we've said like a bunch of times, like we feel like we've really like kind of embraced the distance and like kind of found our way to be really good at it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you guys are doing a great job.
Jeez. I know. Yeah. Tirzah said, we haven't even gotten to like the real questions yet. And there was so much good stuff.
I know our listeners are going to be learning from this episode for sure. So well, we just have a few questions for you guys that we think maybe listeners would be, you know, interested in knowing, as well as like Alex and I just wanting to know more about you guys.
Totally.
So how often do you guys get to visit each other? I know like couples are always, you know, finances or work schedules and things like that. So how do you guys pull that off, and how often?
I'd say we're pretty fortunate. I have a really, really, really flexible work schedule. I do consulting, so I can, you know, for the most part, if I'm not seeing someone, you know, I'm directly working for, I can kind of just work from the road. So it's been extremely beneficial just kind of having that element. We had a visit in July where my flight just got randomly canceled. And when I went to go rebook it, I was like, you know, it was right around 4th of July weekend. So I was just like, well, no one's doing anything anyways. Like, you know, can you book my flight like 5 days out from now? So I ended up getting a free extra 5 days essentially, just kind of from having that flexibility.
Nice.
But, you know, we've definitely been fortunate in that we've gotten to see each other, I think, since we really got it rolling pretty much like every 3 to 4 weeks, really.
Yeah, I think that we figured it out that at the end of the year, we would have like, we started in May, like the first time we saw each other was May. So from the time I booked my May flight until we saw each other was like 57 days, which was like, we were
in it.
We were like, it was like, I can't even tell you like the emotions that came with that, because we hadn't seen each other in 7 years. And then, and it got to the point that like, I couldn't really speak to anyone else in the world. Like, I was just such, like, I was so excited. I was so, like, my head was exploding. Like, it was just, like, everyone kept being like, you seem, like, really, really happy. And I was like, I can't control it. So that was, like, a long time. But where was I going with this? Oh, by the end of the year, I think we will have spent, like, 60 days together or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah, even if it's, even if it's like a weekend here and there, like he's here now and then he leaves. My birthday's on Tuesday, so he's leaving Wednesday, and then I'm going there next Friday for just like a real quick 3-day, you know, and right now we're like getting reacquainted with each other's families and stuff. So like in October, we're spending some time with his grandparents. So he like booked a flight out here, and then we're traveling to Virginia together. And in November, we're meeting in California to see his mom.
Nice.
So we're like kind of being creative with it. There's been like one time I was on a work trip, so he just like met me there. We try to kind of squeeze it out whenever we can.
Yeah.
So, did you have a follow-up question, Tirzah?
No, I'm good.
All right. So, have y'all already, I was going to ask about communication, but y'all hit that pretty thoroughly, which was incredible. So I want to ask, have y'all had any arguments since getting back together? And if so, not so much like what it's been about, that can stay between you guys, but like if you have, how did that change the communication dynamic? And how did you get past that?
Yeah, I mean, just
we're both like looking at each other, and neither of us wants to answer this question.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten into arguments. I would have to say, you know, especially since we have a history of dating, that, you know, our communication and our passion for insinuating, you know, just perpetuating the problem has definitely gotten, you know, better with age.
Yeah, I think that there's a really cool thing that we have, because our like story spans over so long, that like we can appreciate the way that each other has improved in like conflict. Like when we like dated the first time in 2008, like we had some like
we're 19, 20 years old.
Yeah,
you know,
we had some serious
youngins.
Like throwdown, like nasty like fights, like really like hurtful things were said. And now I think that like just the lives both of us have led and the experiences we've had, we're just more compassionate people. So I think that, like our fights are mainly around like both of us being frustrated that the fight's even happening.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just like trying, like, how can we end this? But like, you know, like human beings are human beings, and like if you're having an emotional day and you're just like not feeling rational, it's really hard to bring it back. And I think that we both know that, and we are like sensitive to that. So when we do have fights, like we had a fight this week, and it just kind of gets like, you know, it's almost like the fight holds on for a little bit, and then one of us will have this breakdown where they're like, this is affecting me so much because A, B, and C makes me feel this way. So I think that just like kind of not being like, oh, I'll avoid it until it goes away, and like actually diving into it is kind of, you know, what works for us.
I also think that, you know, because there is distance, and, you know, there's not the kind of physical, you know, observations or physical, you know, ways of communicating, that sometimes there's just that disconnect that, you know, one person can kind of tap into and run with, and, you know, trying to reel each other back in and be like, hey, we're here for each other. You know, sometimes I feel like if we were in person, you know, in the same room, it'd just be as simple as just like, let me just like give you a hug and kiss, and, you know, like why is this going down the path it is?
But we acknowledge that, like we're like this fight wouldn't be happening if we weren't long distance, and I think that acknowledging that is really, really important. But we also have like one thing we talk about a lot. Have you ever seen the movie Drumline?
No.
Wait, maybe it's back in high school.
It's about like a marching, but like one line in that movie is like, one band, one sound. And like one thing that we think about a lot is like Trevor's laughing at me. One thing that we think about a lot is like, okay, like if we're going to be a team and we're going to do this and we're going to get married and we're going to have a family, like it has to be the two of us against the problem, not the two of us against, like, not me against him. And like, especially like, obviously I have a daughter, so that pulls in some interesting dynamics, like family dynamics and that sort of thing. I had to preemptively shush Lucy before she said anything. Yeah, so like we have a lot of like real, I always refer to them as like our grown-up problems. Like we have like real things that we're dealing with, and mostly it's just like remembering that we've made this decision to be a team, and that's both of us want that more than anything. So we're just gonna kind of assume that state of mind whenever we can, and if the other person forgets, kind of like remind them that at the end of the day, like we're not against each other, we're a team.
Yep, that's fantastic. Go ahead, Tirzah.
Well, guys, you kind of briefly tapped on my next question. So explain a little bit how it's gone with you guys, with you having a kid with the long distance, or what are the positives? What are some things that you guys have come up against that maybe other long distance couples could learn from?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I've kind of just operated on my own. I've never really, none of my friends really have children. So for me to get to know Lucy has kind of been to, get thrown into life with kids, so to speak, or just like approaching that generally. But I'd say it's been one of the most beautiful and just kind of like amazing experiences of my life, is getting to know Lucy and, kind of be welcomed into the, their family dynamic.
That's great.
Today her and I actually had our first day where it was just her and I together while at work. It was a really fun day. We went hiking and we played, and then we got ice cream, and it was, good day overall. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot of life lessons in a short amount of time, and a lot of realizations about, wanting a family and kind of wanting to, fulfill those roles and responsibilities a lot more than, I ever imagined I would have.
Yeah.
I think it's been super organic. Like we ended up, just kinds of our schedules, we ended up having like a really everything worked out like really well in timing. Like we had our first visit, which was obviously just like very like me and Trevor centric, and like, holy moly, I can't believe this is happening. And then we had this like really calm visit where I was on a work trip where we were like only having evenings together, and we were just like kind of like, okay, so this is what it's like after the first time. And then the next time I saw him was the first time he met Lucy. And so like that time period, and her like talking to me about like I told her about him before she met him. So it was nice to be able to have that dialogue, and she like knew who this guy was, and she knew that he made, me really happy. And she's a pretty like emotionally intuitive kid just because of who I am as a mother.
Okay.
So yeah, she responded really well, and the whole thing, I don't have any regrets as far as like how we've handled everything.
Has she been able to talk to him through the phone or see him on FaceTime? I guess what I was talking to Alex was like, maybe me and my boyfriend, or me and Alex, would be able to see each other and get to know each other. But if I had a kid, how would the kid get to know my partner?
So it was really uncomfortable for me, but looking back, I'm really happy we did it this way. But so we started talking in February, and my visit was the beginning of May. In that time, we like hardly talked about Lucy at all, and like
kept it about ourselves.
Yeah, we kept it, and like I know that like some people might like turn their nose at that and be like, well, you're a mother and blah blah blah, but like I feel like me and Trevor fell in love very much like as our own identities, and that's kind of like what people who don't have kids dating get to do. So because it was long distance, I was able to like, for like the first time in a very long time, separate myself from like who I am as Lucy's mom and who I am as myself. So when you know, the whole getting to know each other happened, we didn't really talk about it. And then the first night I was in Colorado, the first night we were together, we like unloaded the Lucy thing and like, are you okay with this? Obviously you have to be okay with this because like
it was one of those, like we didn't talk about it up front, but you know, I think before we could even broach that topic, we need to make sure that, you know, we were compatible again, and that, you know, we were on the right path. And then once we felt comfortable with that, that's when we broached the, you know, because I wasn't like playing a fool. Like I knew in the back of my head, I was like, there's a whole other set of topics that we have to talk about, but like, you know, make sure that we're on the same page first before we even go down that path.
Yeah. So she was really uninvolved until like she knew about Trevor, but then once his trip happened where he met her, after that, actually like one of the like I think like a pretty touching story is like that the first trip he had here was the trip that ended up with the canceled flight and it got extended. So he ended up here instead of like 4 days, he was here for like a little like over a week. And when he left, Lucy was like devastated. Like she didn't understand. Aww. And it was really difficult. And like we kind of had those conversations where we were like, we chose this long distance like yearning and like long distance relationship, and like she didn't choose this and we put her in this, and like I was feeling a lot of mom guilt about that, and obviously like anything that I'm feeling like that he's feeling like secondhand. So we had some like definite not reservations, like we didn't want to be together, but it just sucked. Like we were just like, this sucks.
We brought it on to someone else.
But then like me and Lucy started doing like a countdown, and like I really involved her in the long distance and like the waiting for him to come back. And then like it was so cute because like today he got like I picked him up from the airport this morning and he got in the car and she was like, oh my God, 17 days is so long. Like it was so cute. So yeah, she FaceTimes with him when we're not together now, but she didn't originally.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. I love the countdown idea.
Yeah. We
nice.
have a lot of countdowns.
That is fantastic. So when y'all did realize, or when y'all trying to modify a question I had, how did you discern, okay, now's the right time to talk about both about Lucy and what y'all's respective expectations were for career, family? Because I know for us, sometimes we're a little hesitant. Like we have a question on our mind we want to ask each other, but we're like, I don't know if now's too soon, or like if we should wait to ask in person.
Yeah.
As y'all started having some of those conversations, how did you determine now's the right time? Was it a matter of we just have? I'll just leave it at that. How did you determine?
I think a lot of what we've done and just kind of how it's played out has really just been feeling out the situation, you know, whatever topic it might be around, and then just, I mean, it's been all very organic, I would have to say. Okay. You know, like when it came to like talking about Lucy, you know, the first couple of months, it was very just hyper focused on us. And it wasn't that we weren't aware of the extremities. It's just that we, you know, pinpointed this.
It was like one of those things where like when we were separated, if either of us like went out and had a couple drinks, we would like start to broach the topic, and the other one would be like, no, that's an in-person topic. Like, calm down. Like, don't go there. So yeah, that was like one of those things that we were both trying to preserve, like, and almost like we knew that conversation would be like just like more genuine, and like we would both be more comfortable in person.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well.
Okay, I have one more question for you guys.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is kind of based on Alex and I's last episode. So we were discussing trust and how a lot of couples set up different ways to hold their relationship or their partner accountable. And so, yeah, you guys have been about in a long distance relationship the same as Alex and I almost. And so I don't know if this question's easier for long-term long distance or for newbies like us, but do you guys have any ideas for long distance couples to hold a partner accountable? What do you guys do? How do you guys feel when you guys are apart? Do you feel like you have a good trust system? How do you check in with each other? Yeah.
I think that I think that nothing about the choices that we've made to be together is easy. So we both know that we're like intentionally doing this. We're intentionally doing long distance. We're intentionally, planning this move and planning a wedding and everything like that. So, like pretty much like if you're going to go and we're super connected about all of those things. And like, so it's almost like, why would you wrong the other person if you're going through all of, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be really easy for us to find a different relationship that's closer to home and, but we wouldn't feel the same way about the person. And Trevor and I have like always kind of like been in each other's heads. Like, it's been a decade now where we've been like, oh yeah, that was like a person, that was the person, that was the one. So like, there's really no point in us messing that up in any way. So like, I don't even think about trust, to be honest. Like, I don't ever, it's not something I worry about. It's not something I think about. I never, like, if he's not texting me back, I'm not like, oh, he's probably doing something he's not telling me about. Like,
well, the other thing is too, when it comes to that is, going back to like just kind of ways we communicate, we have a shared Google Calendar. So like if I'm going to a concert or like traveling, for work or something like that, it gets put on that calendar. It gets communicated like, hey, I'm going out to a show tonight. We're on a 2-hour time difference. So when it's 9 o'clock for her, it's only 7 o'clock for me in Denver. My days are a little bit delayed compared to hers, but it's like, hey, I'm going out to a show tonight. Like, I'll text you when I get home safely, that kind of thing. Just kind of other little creature comforts that we kind of participate in besides like shared calendars. We have like the shared location kind of thing on our phones just to like make sure like you get home safe kind of thing. Yeah.
But it's never like,
it's not a trust issue. It's more just like I ride my bike a lot, for example, in the city, and I've been hit by multiple cars. So it's kind of like, making sure that like I don't get hit by a car.
That you're alive.
But we also like to do like the red text message kind of feature, just like acknowledge that like, hey,
I saw this and I'm okay. And
exactly. But just kind of communication again, just, making sure like we know where we're at. Like, hey, I'm going out. Like if I don't respond, I'm, having a good time. I'll text you when I get home safely that night, just to let you know that.
And like when there isn't a text when you get home safely,
that has happened because, let's be honest, sometimes when you get home late,
but like,
and that's for bed.
Yeah, and that's always like a jokey the next day, like you didn't well, actually I shouldn't say the next day. It's like for like 4 days after, like, hey, remember that time you didn't text me when you got home? But it's at the end of the day, we both understand that we're both living our own lives right now, and we also have that great like benefit of having an expiration date on this long distance, and like with me to him, because I have Lucy, my life is a lot different than his. He's still like living a bachelor life and he has roommates and he like does fun stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Get it out of your system because you have like how long until I move to Colorado, and then it's like we're getting married and we're doing these things and we're starting a family and everything. So it's I think it's just understanding and just like accepting that the person loves you like to the moon and back, and that's really all you can do.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So I have another question, and I think this will be my last two. From what I've observed of couples getting married, it is I don't even know how to describe it. Just like the amount of work that
Are
goes
you asking
into
if I'm a bridezilla?
Oh,
I don't even know. I've never seen that. That's a movie, right?
No, it's a TV show. I love that TV show.
I'm just curious, like, again, seeing friends, like setting up your weddings, exciting, but can also be very stressful.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine how that works long distance. Like, you all are having to probably book a venue that only one of you's ever seen before.
Actually, we booked a venue neither one of us has seen, but we're doing pretty good on the fronts, I would say. We're gonna look at it when she's out in
September
Colorado,
9th,
next week or a week and a half.
Yeah.
But
So
we do again a lot of collaboration for everything online.
Trevor's like nice enough to let me put in like in our shared Google Drive, which is called the Trebby, which is our names put together. I have like, so I don't nag him on a day-to-day basis. I have like a Trevor to-do list,
I have an action item list.
Nice.
And he's like constantly like, we're updating each other with like comments and stuff. Last time he was here, we like took a night and we were like, tonight we're gonna wedding plan, and we did like we looked at a bunch of save the dates, which then I just vetoed all of them and got what I wanted.
You sound like me just a little bit.
But yeah, the Trevi, the Google Drive we have is the Google Drive folder we have is definitely the way that we manage wedding planning right now. Yeah. And also like he's just great in the sense that like he's got opinions, but like at the end of the day, I have final say. So that's helpful as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that you guys want to share with our listeners? Any tips on long distance remote relationships or anything that they could take with them into theirs?
I think it's just like making like long distance, you have to put in double the effort to make the person feel loved.
Yeah.
Like and like make the person like feel happy and make the person feel loved. And like when we first started talking, we were so elated that I think we like set our bar pretty high. So now like anytime that either of us is feeling any sort of discomfort, it's like, how can I fix this? But there's also the flip side of that, which is that like when you're that far away, sometimes you can't help. And like sometimes it's just like you got to wait until the person's ready to, you know, almost like not, I don't want to say break down because that sounds really dramatic, but like you have to wait till the person's ready or has their thoughts figured out enough to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's a mix of like proactiveness and patience, I would say is my advice.
And I was just going to say something along the same line. Just, you know, you get what you put into it. You know, the love you give is the love you get. And you definitely have to be a lot more cognizant just because of the distance, because of the lack of, you know, physical connection, and just, you know, the considerations that go into it. Like when we get home from our days of, you know, work, like I don't know all the things that transpired, and, you know, being there just involves kind of a greater deal of attention to detail and kind of understanding and trying to, you know, being willing and able to, you know, hear it out all the way to try and, you know, form an opinion and, you know, help guide her through that, or, you know, have her guide me through my shit.
Right on, man.
Well, cool. Yeah, unless y'all have any last minute things.
I think this was a great episode. Thank you guys for interviewing with us. I mean, I know Alex and I learned a lot and feel inspired, and I know our listeners are too. Seriously. I want to be you guys.
It's pretty awesome being us. I'm not gonna lie.
We're
own it, girlfriend.
We're pretty happy with how things are going, and we're excited to not be long distance anymore.
Yeah, I bet. And Colorado, that's something to really look forward to. Shoot.
Yeah.
It's hard not to look back once you go there.
Yeah.
Gosh, got that right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. To all of the other, thank you guys again so much to all of the other people that have messaged us. We're working on aligning schedules.
Hey, we did it. We were over so at one point Trevor was in California. So like at one point we were over 3 time zones. So I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
To anyone listening, we were supposed to do this last week, but it didn't work out. And then it just ended up being better to do this week. Yeah. Because y'all would be together, we would be together. And I was like, oh, sweet. That's perfect. That
much easier than 4 phones and 3 different time zones.
Yes.
And I ended up with a work emergency.
And
week,
we're so thankful that you guys
again
do this, because this is like we're just super, you know, we love the LDR community on like Instagram, and we're just, you know, we're happy you asked us to do this.
Yeah, we're definitely grateful.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you guys. And hopefully maybe sometime we'll come to Colorado and we can hang out.
Yeah.
Officially.
Please, let's go skiing. I want to go skiing again so bad.
I don't ski, but I do sit in hot tubs at ski lodges.
I was gonna say, you know, I can do mimosa in a hot tub real nicely.
I'm down with you guys. I have never skied. I've never
Alex can have a lot of fun skiing, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll watch him.
Sounds good to me. All right, guys.
Have
a great and fantastic weekend. Say bye to Lucy for us.
We will. And you guys have fun together this weekend, too.
Enjoy yourselves, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe.
As always, you can find us on Instagram at Alix Cave. That's ALIXCAVE.
Or Tirzah93, TIRZAH. If you listen on the Anchor app, you can submit a question or comment for us to play in a future episode.
We'll catch you next time here on
Going the Distance.